All right, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. This is the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Policy Board meeting. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 3 p.m. Thank you for joining us today. As always, first on the agenda is the approval of today's agenda for February 11th, 2025. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
I would make a motion to approve it.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Awesome. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So we'll be able to proceed. Next is the approval of the TPP minutes for January 14th of 2025. Thank you for staff for putting the minutes together. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone dreadfully opposed, please say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. Chad, wow us with your director's report.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Members of the Transportation Policy Body, good afternoon. Last meeting, we had how much funding was allocated to the region as a summary in the last meeting. Every year, how much is allocated on transportation programs. So today we have presentations on the process of plan document adoption, long-range transportation plan, how it is taking shape and how it is due in May 2025, how staff is going to present to you. So there are two parts to all MPOs. One is, allocation of transportation funds on projects, and then developing these documents, federally required documents. So I just want to give a high-level summary for you. So today, most of the presentations are related to Metropolitan Transportation Plan, another 5-year cycle document. That's a high-level overview wanted to provide to you. And there are a few items we have to report to you. And the first item is audit year 2024. Just want to provide a background how our Commissioner Dan Wajak from Butler County initially, along with Commissioner David Dennis, was instrumental in changing, everything. So there was a lot of hard work done in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, both policies and the procurement procedures aligned well with KDOT staff. So everything is lined up well. Now, our new, since 1 year, Kyle Thomas had been our senior accountant. He's handling those, organization of those documents. And I'd let Kyle speak about the schedule and the status of the audit for 2024.
Everybody, Kyle Thomas. I'm the senior accountant here at WAMPO.
Kyle, can you speak into the microphone a little more for the old ears like me? Thank you.
Sorry.
You're perfect.
Just wanted to give you guys kind of just a quick status of where we are. Just to remind you, last year we contracted with Forvis Mazars to handle our fiscal year 24, 25, and 26 financial and single audit. So they came out to do their field work the last week of January, so the 27th through the 31st, which they've completed. And tentatively, we're expecting them to come out at the next TPP meeting in March to present their findings. Any questions for me on that?
Thank you, Kyle.
Right, thank you.
As audit staff for, presented this site, Kyle does a great job in organizing all year long so that it goes smooth, and how documents need to be scrambled for doing this. So thank you, Kyle. So we hope to have, auditors present to you the report either at March TPB, that's the goal. And if in any case it delays, we'll report to you that by April, they should be able to present to you. So that's all the status on that. Next item we have is Safe Streets Road SS4A grant update. Staff is working with Federal Highway Administration on, what projects are eligible, what's the scope of this, how the budget needs to be allocated for various tasks in that. So that's one of the reasons why it took long. And also Federal Highway Administration staff like Rick Backlund and Will Sharp, and they have staff that is coordinating with our staff as well. So it took some time, but now we are at a point where staff is going to talk to individual jurisdictions on how that is developing into scope of work and how that budget is divided into. So that's the status on that. Staff will be scheduling meetings with jurisdictions on, moving forward with that grant.
And we learned on Friday, Kim, can you just remind me, how many schools and school districts are there within the WAMPO region? It was a lot more than I even guessed.
We have about 200, but that I will be given an update here shortly on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I jumped ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a good point. That ties very well with safety. Thank you. Next item we have is Marky updating on transit ridership. Marky, thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Marky Jonas. I'm the community planner here at WAMPO. I just wanted to give a brief update. As you all know, we try and keep all of our stakeholders and committee members informed. So I just wanted to do a quick update on the 2024 ridership numbers for all of the government-provided transit services in the WAMPO region. So as you can see in this table and in your packet, for Wichita Transit, they had 1,130,690 rides. The Derby Dash had 7,868. Hayesville Hustle had 3,361. Sedgwick County Transportation had 5,828. And then Butler County Transit, which is for all of Butler County, not just the portion in the WAMPO region, recorded 15,274 rides. Any questions?
All right. All right, thank you, Marky. The next item we have is our chair just mentioned about the safer school. I just want to thank all these, board members and including our chair, how instrumental you all were in having this taken place, because safe routes to school was important. And so Kim has an update on that. Kim?
And I'm sorry, Kim, I always get safe routes to schools and safe streets
Well,
combined somehow in my head. So I
Safety
apologize.
first, right?
Safety. There's
Yes.
so much safety at WAMPO.
So much safety. Kim Negrete, I'm your multimodal transportation safety planner, and I just wanted to provide a progress update to you today. We are making progress on safe routes to school, so we're very excited. We're working with the SRF consulting team and sub-consultants to create the introductory letter and information that will be shared with partners probably tomorrow. Just so we can be very clear on what the process is for these schools and jurisdictions and expectations so that we're going in with a good standing. What we are asking from you today is if you have any priority schools that are within your jurisdiction, we would love to hear from you about any schools that you really want to ensure are part of safe routes to schools. And or if you want to appoint a staff person to serve on the SRTS stakeholder committee, they will help guide this process over the next 2 years. So just let me know if you have a staff person that are interested in serving on that. We'd love to have them involved.
And Kim, we talked about this with our Wichita pre-WAMPO meeting on Friday. And like we talked about, for example, Southeast High School, where, you cannot get to the school unless you're in a bus or a car. There's no sidewalks, there's no anything. So as TPV members, our jurisdictions are thinking about safe routes to schools, like what are some things that would be triggers for them that they might think a school or a school district should be included?
Yeah, if you are aware of a school that has maybe some infrastructure that is missing around there, or if you see really heavy pickup and drop off traffic, that maybe there's something we can do to help alleviate that. Those are all some good indicators. For example, like you said, Southeast could definitely use some infrastructure research and design. So,
And this would just be for design, not for infrastructure, correct?
this is looking at what infrastructure is needed or missing. It's looking at programs and policies. So it's really a comprehensive package for the school that will provide this school-specific plan. And then this sets them up to be able to apply for funding to resolve those issues. So we're really excited to help the schools make this a step forward.
And I love that y'all are being so ambitious and thinking about every school within the WAMPO region.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, approximately 200. So hopefully we can get them all.
you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, so Kim, is it the time of prioritizing what schools need to be? And if you believe, this is more important for us, Kim is happy to work with you and, put that in the list of priority. That's the intent of Kim's presentation today.
And more safety. Next item.
Yeah.
All of you are aware because you helped create and approve the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan back in 2023. Now that the plan has been with us for a year and it's been being implemented, we want to make a few updates, that things that maybe were left out or that could just be adjusted with the timeline. So we are reconvening the Transportation Safety Technical Advisors on, February 25th. It'll be at 11 a.m. in this room, and we could really use their expertise and guidance just to ensure that our plan, our outcomes are going to achieve what we really want to see with safety. So we will be then providing you an update of their recommendations at a future TPB meeting.
Thanks a lot.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Next item we have is Regional Transit Implementation Plan.
Okay.
Just want to do a quick update. So on February 24th, we will present the draft final plan to TAC and then present again to TPB on March 11th for final approval. And that presentation will be published on the WAMPO website.
All right. Thanks, Peter. And Peter has ITS update as well. Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple meeting updates. So we have the ITS stakeholder meeting, what will be held in this room. That is on February 18th at 8:30 a.m. Goes to 11:30 that morning. And then we also have possibly the last ITS steering committee meeting on February 24th, following the stakeholder meeting. That following week, we'll review some draft deliverables. I just want to give those updates on those meetings. Again, that one will be held in this room as well.
Thanks so much. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Chad or any staff on the director's report? Lots of great work. I always say by the time you all get to the podium, so much time and effort has been expended by staff. So it's not lost on me, all of your great work. So thank you to the team for all that you do. Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we have consent agenda. As you can see, we have the updated TAC Advisory Committee roster, and Marky's here if we have any questions to ask about that. And then the Executive Director salary increase is also on consent. Just to give you a quick update if you're new, or just as a reminder, every year around December, I usually try and do it first part of December, the chair sends out an evaluation to everyone in the executive committee and asks them to score Chad in 5 different areas on a score of 1 to 5. And then I take everybody's input and also their scores, average them for each of the 5 categories, and then average them overall. And then in executive committee on February 6th, so last week, we went into executive session within executive committee and presented the information to Chad. I had previously gone over Chad's evaluation with him. We talked about the great work that he's doing, and then, like all of us, opportunities for improvement. And so the executive committee is recommending, and we have confirmed with Kyle and with staff that the funds are available. We actually are in a really good salary savings position regarding the budget. So the budget is there to be able to allocate a 5% salary increase for Chad as our executive director. So those are our 2 consent agenda items. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve today's consent agenda. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Congratulations, Chad. Absolutely. Next, we have our public comment opportunity. If anyone wants their 3 minutes of fame, Alan, it's now or never. You sure you're gonna let it go? Okay, anyone online who wants to join us for 3 minutes? Awesome, thank you so much. We will move next into our 4 action items. The first I'm going to affectionately call the peaceful transition of power. We will be electing our new WAMPO chair. I just want to take a point of privilege and say thank you to everyone for this opportunity. Thank you to staff. Thank you to the executive committee. It's been great. Truly a highlight of my career. So thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So with that, I would like to take the opportunity to I will open it up for nominations, but I would like to personally nominate Russ Kessler as our next WAMPO chair. Entertain any, you'll make a motion? Second it? Is there any other nominations for WAMPO chair? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of Russ Kessler, Mayor Russ Kessler, as our next fearless leader of WAMPO, please enthusiastically say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations, my friend. Woo! It's all you. You can just say that. All right.
So, first order of business, you can stand up, please. So you've been great. You've been a great chairman for this organization. So here's the plaque. WAMPO recognizes Becky Tuttle for outstanding leadership, commitment, and service as chair of the WAMPO Transportation Policy Body during the years 2023 and 2024, February 11th, 2025. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah,
Always
good
here
job.
for you.
Yeah, good job, Terry.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it, truly.
Switch mics with you.
Yes, please.
Wow. All right. Thanks again, Becky, for everything you've done for WAMPO.
Thank you.
So the next item is the vice chair elections. So, last year, about a year ago, we changed it so vice chair and TAC chair vice chair and TAC chair were separate positions, but they could be the same position now if needed. So I will open up the floor for vice chair nominations. So we have a nomination for Becky for vice chair. Any other nominations? All right. Well, we will vote then, right? All in favor of Becky being vice chair of this board? All right, I'll second.
I accept the nomination. I will accept the nomination only if no one else wants it. I really, I love this organization, but I love it so much that if somebody else wanted to serve as vice chair, just because of succession planning in the future, I would 100% support them. So if anybody else is interested, please step forward and I will rescind my name. But if no one else is interested, I would serve again. I will rescind my name. Thank you for the nomination. I truly appreciate it.
All right, do we have a second? Are you gonna second? So we have a nomination and a second for Mayor Lieb. Any other nominations? All right, shall we vote? All in favor of Mayor Lieb being the vice chair of WAMPO TPB? Say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, looks like you're it. Congratulations,
The dream team.
the dream team. There we go. All right, next we have nominations for TAC chair. So would anybody like to become the new TAC chair? All right. So a motion and a second for Commissioner Wojak to be the TAC chair. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, let's go and vote for Dan. All in favor of Dan being the TAC chair, say aye.
Aye.
All-
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, congratulations, Dan. All right. Well, we have our leadership for this next year. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to action item B, releasing draft Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 for public comment period. We have Nick and Joni.
Thank you. As mentioned at last month's meeting, drafts of all chapters and appendices of Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 have been made available on wampo.org/MTP 2050 for review. And you can also find at your places around the table draft copies of the executive summary thereof for your reference during this meeting. The draft chapters and appendices have been getting reviewed by the Plan Advisory Committee and KDOT and the FHWA and FTA. We are still receiving comments on those, but so far there has not been anything major, and we will address whatever comments we receive from them prior to the opening of a public comment period currently planned for March 7th to April 8th. However, and this will come up a bit later in this agenda item, this TPB will be asked to release draft MTP 2050 for public comment as is required by the public participation plan of WAMPO. After the public comment period, we will address whatever comments are received during the public comment period, and then it will go to the TAC for a recommendation on April 28th, and to this body again for an official vote on approval on May 13th, 1 month before the deadline for approving a new MTP. Then the only step left will be one more round of public engagement just to introduce the approved plan to the public. Just to quickly show you again where the draft chapters and appendices are on wampo.org/MTP 2050, one tab for the 7 chapters and one for the 14 appendices. And now, before we get into the public comment period and related activities and the vote on releasing the MTP for public comment, we're going to go through the 7 main chapters of the document of plan, purpose, and development, regional trends, existing conditions, system management, system performance report, financial plan, and project selection and list. Chapter 1, plan, purpose, and development. This first chapter explains the federal regulations related to the requirement for MPOs to have metropolitan transportation plans and the reasons behind them and the requirement that we update them every 5 years. It goes into introducing the WAMPO region as well as WAMPO as an organization. And it summarizes the process that we went through to develop the MTP, setting a vision and goals, and assessing needs and baseline conditions through data analysis and public engagement. And finally, the development of a fiscally constrained project list, which you all approved back on November 12th last year. It lists other planning documents related to WAMPO's activities and other WAMPO committees, including this one. And it summarizes the public engagement activities, although those are gone into in greater detail in Appendix B. And then finally, it introduces the plan vision, goals, and objectives and how they align with the US DOT's federal planning factors. The vision of MTP 2050 is to enhance connectivity in a way that supports equitable development of a safe, reliable, multimodal transportation network that enriches the quality of place within the WAMPO region. And the goals are safe and reliable, equitable and accessible, connected and multimodal, and environmental and financial stewardship. And now I will turn things over to Dora Gayo to discuss chapters 2, and 3.
Thank you, Nick. So Chapter 2 is the regional trends. It explains regional economic sectors, residential expansion, transportation networks, impacts on the environment and equity. 2.1 summarizes broad growth trends in employment and population throughout the region. To the right, you can see an example of a population pyramid for the WAMPO region. And then 2.2 explores the region's current and past demographics. 2.3, sorry, examines the distribution of schools and the scale of the regional education system. And 2.4 looks into the region's past and present household characteristics. Here to the right, you can see an example of the median household value by the census tracts. 2.5 and 2.6. 2.5 summarizes current and projected regional employment and highlights trends across various industry sectors. 2.6 analyzes regional commuting patterns and transit usage. You can see on the right an example of the Wichita Transit demand response trips. 2.7 examines transportation's environmental impact. And 2.8 identifies and assesses impacts on minority and low-income populations. Here on the right is an example of one of the tables that looks into the regional minority and low-income populations in the region. Chapter 3 is the existing conditions chapter, and it describes the existing transportation infrastructure and services in the WAMPO region. 3.1, excuse me, describes the current network of bridges and roads and usage intensity of the NHS. So here to the right is the annual average daily traffic, AEDT, on the nation highway system, which is NHS. And 3.2 summarizes the existing conditions of regional transit and paratransit services. 3.3 is bicycle and pedestrian. So analyzing the current state of regional bike ped infrastructure and identifies potential avenues for future improvements. Here's the 2024 ADT for our bike ped count projections that we do every year. 3.4 is freight. So examines existing freight routes and the movement of goods across various transportation modes, including highways, railways, and air transport. And here's just another map example of the primary highway freight network. 3.5 is electric vehicles, so provides an overview of current electric vehicle infrastructure, potential routes for future deployments, and opportunities for funding. Here's a map of just current EV infrastructure in the region. And then I'll pass this over to Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dora. And Chapter 4, System Management, describes how the transportation network is maintained and managed. So starting with 4.2, past the introduction, first it takes a brief overview of infrastructure condition. For example, bridge condition. In the WAMPO region, there's over 11.2 million square feet of bridge deck area that needs to be maintained. And then it looks at an overview of some potential funding programs. There's more listed in the chapter. STBG, like Surface Transportation Block Grant, your Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program, FTA 5307. It's one of the urbanized area formula grants, just various funding programs that can help assist with maintenance. 4.3 looks at our intelligent transportation systems. So it's a summary of the regional ITS infrastructure and its role within the region. You can also see this more information in Appendix G, the dedicated regional ITS architecture appendix for more information. This is a map of all the different cameras along the highway system. And then Chapter 4, 4.4, looks at the overview of the looks at safety in the region and provides an overview of the safe system of approach. And it also provides a summary of the regional safety action plan, relevant statistics, and it also goes over identified safety emphasis areas that we included in the plan, like intersections, speed, vulnerable road users. That includes your bike and pedestrian road users. And then you can also see on Appendix H, we have the entire comprehensive safety action plan as a part of the MTP. And then in 4 and 5, we have 4.5 and 4.6, we have transportation demand management and congestion management. So in 4.5, transportation demand management provides an overview of a set of general strategies designed to optimize transportation efficiency, improve travel options, promote sustainable mobility without expanding roadway capacity. And then additionally showcases forecasts from WAMPO's travel demand model. And you can also see our travel demand model appendix I. And then finally, the congestion management process, which broadly discusses the goals of congestion management, and then goes into talking about our federally required congestion management process document, or CMP, and that also forms Appendix J of MTP 2015. And then finally, system resilience 4.7 goes into how we can improve transportation system resilience to natural disasters and climate change, and explores the MPO's role in assessing infrastructural vulnerability in coordinating with local planning agencies, and also discusses potential regional challenges such as extreme weather, flooding, environmental hazards, and the like. And then we get to our chapter 5, which just has 2 sections, thankfully. The 5.1 federal performance measures and 5.2 are regional performance measures. As a brief overview, it examines the required federal performance measures, or PMs, for the WAMPO region, including PM1 safety, PM2 pavement and bridge condition, PM3 system performance, and then also transit asset management. It also shows the state performance measure targets and goals that WAMPO supported in 2024. And you can see an example there off to the side of the most recent that's taken from the executive summary. And then 5.2 looks at some other identified regional performance measures. So it looks at regional commuter mode share, average travel time to work, greenhouse gas emissions, sidewalk and multi-use path. These are not strictly required, but they were ones that we had the data for and could measure and thought would be useful metrics to include in the plan. And you can see an example of the mode share in that graph off to the side there in the WAMPO region. And it's a little bit slim, but you can definitely see the uptick in work from home in purple, going from 3.3% in 2019 to 9% suddenly in 2021. And then I will pass this off to Nick to talk about our financial plan as we continue through this comprehensive.
While Nick is coming, quick comment, Madam Chair and members, these chapters were not printed before, only the executive summary is printed. These are all on the website. If any of you would like to have this printed, we'll have it ready for you anytime after this meeting. Just please let us know.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Chad. The financial plan chapter is all about getting to one simple goal, demonstrating that Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 is fiscally constrained. And that is defined as the project costs in the plan plus projected operations and maintenance costs are less than or equal to projected revenues over the same time horizon out to 2050. We calculated this fiscal constraint and confirmed that it is fiscally constrained for 3 categories: KDOT, public transit, and local governments aside from public transit, since they all have very different projects, very different funding sources, and very different things that they are responsible for. And we also calculated for the 3 time bands of 2025 to 2028, 29 to 38, and 39 to 50. We assumed conservatively 1% per year increase in revenue unless otherwise noted, and 4.5% per year increase in operation and maintenance costs, which is equal to KDOT's default inflation assumption. And there's no distinction in this analysis between WAMPO suballocated and WAMPO non-suballocated federal funds on the local projects. As to quickly go through some tables here, just showing the breakdown of the projects, 144 in total, which we'll get to a little more in the next section on chapter 7. And just to quickly going through the table that you have in your executive summary there, summarizing the fiscal constraint analysis for KDOT, public transit, local, and overall. And now moving on to chapter 7, project selection and list. There was a combined call for projects, both for MTP 2050 and the 2025 to 2028 TIP from September 15th, 2023 through February 2nd, 2024. WAMPO staff and consultants scored these projects and reflected them in the travel demand model. And then the project selection committee made their recommendations. First, they made the recommendations for the TIP projects that would be selected, and those were approved by the TAC and TPB and incorporated into the TIP, which was adopted on August 13th, 2024, and has since been amended a couple of times and is probably going to be amended again right after this. And then on the 3rd of October, the PSC made the recommendations on what projects to include in the fiscally constrained project list for MTP 2050, which was agreed to by the TAC in their recommendation on October 28th, and which this body approved on November 12th last year. As indicated in my discussion of the financial plan, we selected projects into 3 time bands of 2025 to 2028, which matches the time band of the new TIP, 29 to 38 the next 10 years, and 39 to 50 the remainder of the planning horizon. And as for the same reasons already discussed, projects were either KDOT, public transit, or local government, except for public transit. And although MPPs may have an illustrative list, this time around we did not have one. We just have the fiscally constrained project list because there was enough room in the fiscal constraint analysis for all of the submitted projects, but so that's something you just don't need to worry about too much. And in addition to specific projects that were submitted, we also have category projects for public transit, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, traffic flow and safety improvements, ITS projects, and regional studies. These are in there because these are projects of a type that often are started on shorter notice than other big highway projects, and therefore are harder to get into a long-range plan on an individual basis, and therefore they are in the fiscal constraint analysis and the fiscally constrained project list as categories, or is what we used to call them, bucket projects, so that projects that fit into these categories can get into the TIP without having to be specifically in the MTP. Now, just a couple quick maps showing the locations of those projects that are mappable. Not all of them are, like bus purchases and planning projects. And the second of the 2 maps is also in the executive summary that you have around your tables, showing them by project type and then also by the time band. And let's go very quickly through the actual submitted projects. There were 7 KDOT projects in the fiscal constrained project list, most of them in the first time band. There were 6 category projects for public transit, all category projects then divided between the 3 time bands, and a bunch of local non-public transit projects in all 3 time bands. Let's go through these real quick. And now I'll turn things over to Marky Jonas to discuss public engagement round 4, i.e. the public comment period, and to introduce the action options.
Okay, so should this draft be opened for public comment, which will also happen after we have reviewed any comments from the Plan Advisory Committee and our state and federal partners. The public comment period is tentatively scheduled for March 8th through April 7th. During this time, we will be seeking as much input as we possibly can, including through a virtual public meeting, which is currently scheduled for March 12th from noon to 1 to try and bring in as many people as we can again, as well as an open house on March 26th from 4 to 6 p.m., which will be held at the Regional Chamber of Commerce. And then any other engagement opportunities that we can attend or present at, or that would be willing to help share the word, that would be greatly appreciated. So please let me know if you know of events, pop-ups, if you'd like to invite WAMPO to come present about the plan, anything, please let me know.
Thank you, Marky. Do we have a goal of how many people we want to have public engagement, or is there a requirement of how many engagement opportunities we need to have, or how many community members or regional community members need to be engaged? Are there any requirements or goals?
There are not, other than just that we are doing as much as we can to get the word out there. There's not a specific number of comments that we need to receive or people that we need to directly interact with. That's just more of a goal for WAMPO, because we really do want this plan to align with the wants and needs of the community. In the packet, there should be a draft development and proposal matrix that shows the different outreach activities for each of our documents. And that shows that for a full update of MTP, we are required to do certain things, including public meetings, including the TBB releasing the draft for public comment, but there's not a specific number of comments that need to be received.
Thank you.
Good question.
Are there any questions before I introduce the action options? Okay. For this, your action options are to approve releasing draft MTP 2050 for public comment as presented, not approve releasing draft MTP 2050 for public comment, or to approve releasing draft MTP 2050 for public comment with specific changes. WAMPO staff recommend approve releasing the draft MTP 2050 for public comment as presented.
All right, any questions? Or definitely appreciate all your work, Marky, Peter, Dora, and Nick. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
We have a motion and a second to approve the releasing draft of the MTP 2050 for public comment as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
All right, next we have item C, the FFY 2025 through 28 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 3. Peter?
Good afternoon. We have our amendment number 3. So it has gone through the regular schedule from January 3rd to January 17th. We had our public comment period. We had our TAC recommendation on January 27th, and we are here today for consideration of TPP approval for Amendment 3. You can check out the full details in the amendment summary online. There are 11 projects in Amendment 3 that have requested changes that require TPP approval, 7 requests for new projects to be added to the TIP and 4 to be modified in the TIP. In addition, notice is also provided of 7 projects that require or that requested administrative adjustments that don't require a formal action by TPP. This map is available in your packet. I believe it's on page 26. I don't have it there on the bottom of the screen. And these are all of the projects that were mappable in this most recent amendment. And you can see this list that goes through of how those are numbered within that map. And going through the ones that require formal action, we have City of Wichita, 17th Street North, I-35 to Hillside. There was an increase in local project costs or increase in project costs paid for with local funds. And right-of-way acquisition and some utility phases or utility relocation phase added there. And we also adjusted and added a KDOT ID. We have the ITS 21st and 119th Street to West Downtown. The projects, there was a change in the title and project limits. We have several KDOT bridge projects going through there, next to there. And then we have the K-15 intersection at 71st and 47th and MacArthur. There was an increase in project cost with state funds and a move back of preliminary phases from FFY 2024 to FFY 2025. We have KDOT's US 54 Kellogg and Sedgwick and Butler County project. They changed the project limits and scope, an increase in project costs paid for with NHPP and state funds, and they moved the project back from FFY 2025 to 2026. And then we have City of Goddard's Galleria Commercial Road, North Season Street to East 2nd Street, from just south of West Kellogg. That is a new project. We have Andover's Founders Parkway from Andover Road to Sunflower Road, also a new project there. And then we have the City of Wichita, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Corridor, overweight vehicle warning system as a new project in the tip. And then we have the Sedgwick County Transportation System, their FFY 5311 grant as a new project there. And then we have Wichita Transit bus purchase as a new project. However, it should be noted that transit project from Wichita Transit was an old project that had not quite spent all of its obligated funds from federal fiscal year 2018. And so there is no new funding when we get to the suballocated table here. That funding is already obligated for those purposes, but it was previously removed from the tip and now has been put back in. And then the Redbud Path from Woodlawn Boulevard near 17th Street, 3.5 miles east of K96, the Redbud Path. There was adjustment in funding, or the project adjusted some TA funds, and those were swapped with CRP funds with no net change in funding on the project. In addition, here are the federal funding on 2025-2028 TIP Amendment 3 projects. Finally, Amendment 3 meets requirements. It has passed its public comment and review period. It's consistent with the current MTP, Reimagine Move 2040. It's fiscally constrained and has a financial impact of $42.6 million. Before our action options, any questions?
Are there any questions for Peter? Seeing none.
So our actions for TIP Amendment 3, we can approve the FFY 2025 to the FFY 2028 TIP Amendment number 3 as presented, not approve TIP Amendment number 3, or approve Amendment 3 with specific changes. TAC recommendation was to approve FFY 2025 to FFY 2028 TIP Amendment 3 as presented.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'd move to approve as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve the FFY 2025 through 28 TIP Amendment 3 as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? All right, passed. Thank you. All right, for our last action item, we have item number D, or letter D, supporting KDOT federal performance measure targets. Peter again.
Some background, the performance-based planning, FHWA and FTA, Federal Transit Authority, jointly issued a planning rule to document changes in statewide and metropolitan planning processes consistent with the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century, or MAP 21 Act, and the Fixing America's Surface Transportation FAST Act. This rule specifies requirements for the state departments of transportation, your DOTs, and MPOs to implement a performance-based approach to planning and programming. From this, the FHWA developed 3 performance measure rules, and FTA developed 2 rules, one for transit access management and one for transit safety. For our purposes, after the state DOT establishes any of their or updates their performance measure targets, MPOs must either support the state targets or establish their own performance measure goals. In 2024, with TPP approval, WAMPO chose to support the state in achieving their performance measure targets for PM1 safety, PM2 bridge and pavement conditions, PM3 transit or system performance, and transit access management or TAM. For 2025, KDOT has updated their performance measures for all 5 of the PM1 goals, the PM2 targets, specifically for percent of interstate pavements in good condition, and then for PM3, they updated their goal for truck travel time reliability. In packet, these are statewide goals that they have developed for 2025 for reduction in fatalities and serious injuries, both in number and rate. It's good to always consider these are rolling 5-year averages. For pavement and bridge conditions, again, they updated just their 2025 target from 61% to 70% of interstate pavements in good condition. For system performance, which can be loosely equated with congestion management, they updated their 2025 target to 1.13 for truck travel time reliability. That's an index that indicates congestion for trucks. Looking at most recent data, they think that 1.13 is their most achievable number given current circumstances. And then finally, just so it's mentioned here, we did support these last year. There's no changes in these transit asset management goals. In 2026, KDOT will be updating their transit assets management or TAM plan. As per the cycle, I should say, I have not spoken to KDOT directly about that, and I would just know that these usually go on a 4-year cycle. That's what I should say. Which brings us to our action items. Before I read the options, do you have any questions for myself?
Any questions for Peter?
Our actions are approve supporting KDOT's 2025 federal performance measure targets as presented, not approve supporting KDOT's 2025 federal performance measure targets, or approve with specific changes. The TAC recommendation was to approve supporting KDOT's 2025 federal performance measure targets as presented.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve? How about a second? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the supporting KDOT 2025 federal performance measure targets as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. All right, next we have item 5, discussion and updates. A, complete streets. Dora.
Hello again. So WAMPO wants to introduce complete streets to TAC and TPP. So today we'll be talking about the complete streets policy and toolbox. So what are complete streets? They're streets designed to enable safe use and support mobility for all users, pedestrian, bicyclists, motorists, and transit riders of all ages and abilities. Some key features are pedestrian-friendly sidewalks and crosswalks, dedicated bike lanes, safe transit stops, and accessible designs for individuals with disabilities. Why complete streets matter? Implementing complete streets improves safety, supports healthy lifestyles, and even boosts the local economy by attracting pedestrians. Plus, these streets reduce our carbon footprint. Complete Streets Toolbox. So WAMPO wants to develop this toolbox to provide practical tools for cities to design, implement, and maintain complete streets. Some of the content for the toolbox will be design guidelines, template for sidewalks, bike lanes, and transit stops. Policy examples, so sample ordinances and resolutions, community engagement strategies, tips for involving stakeholders, case studies, so real world examples from successful implementations, and an evaluation matrix, so tools to measure success, such as increased usage or reduced crashes. The benefits of the toolbox. This toolbox streamlines the implementation process, saving time and ensuring collaboration among planners, engineers, and community members. A call to action. So by adopting the policy and using the toolbox, we can create safer, more vibrant communities where everyone feels welcome and supported. And here are just some examples now of how some complete streets have looked like or been designed to look like. So here we see some curb extensions. We see a designated bike lane, shorter crosswalks. Here's some real world example. And then here's another example. Any comments or questions?
Any questions for Dora?
Yeah, is the intention of this is to provide some examples, guides for communities? 'Cause the thing I'm not grabbing here is how does a community ever use this? I don't think we ever access such a resource when we're looking for new street designs.
Our intention is just providing the toolbox for just providing a more safer community. So our toolbox is, we're gonna look into what other MPOs have been doing and then kind of implement it here for our region as well. And one of them is gonna be looking at different examples of maybe what it would cost to transform like a street like this into something like this. Just including different elements.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. It's a good question, Mayor. I appreciate the question.
This is Bert. I got a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mayor,
Yes.
please.
How does, with all this work on safe streets, maybe this is a good place to interject this, but with the bike paths, the different ways to have different transportation modes around town, I know we are working, Mayor Clearwater, but I also work in Wichita, and we have a big process going on right now with golf carts. And is that in the scope of any of this, is to different modes of transportation and how they may get around?
Personally, I haven't heard anything that we've been working with, but through this process, I am intended to work with MABCD and MAPD just to look at what's already in the books and see how we can either add any new ordinances or any new regulations for such things.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the questions. I think the context why Mayor Dora is presenting today, a lot of MPOs are encouraged by Federal Highway Administration to develop uniform policies. City of Wichita already employs a lot of these in many places around. For suburban and other jurisdictions to have that uniform policies especially for developers, when developers are developing, sometimes they miss the connections. So these policies will help not only for the commuters to safely commute roundabouts, safely integrate other modes of transportation. These toolbox and toolkits will develop, those videos and training and design guidelines so that they become resources. One of our UPWP, Unified Planning Work Program, has a place where, Allison Smith from KDOT also discussed with us how WAMPO staff is encouraged to develop these to serve the jurisdictions. So it'll be a resource for the MPO. I have seen in Columbus MPO when I was working for Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission between 2004 and 2016. I was working at Columbus, Ohio MPO. I've seen there how, the cities would adopt a policy. When they adopt a policy of complete streets, what they do is they put some changes in the zoning laws, how the developers can develop certain, like integrating bike ped and transit stop access from the employees, because their own employees and the developers would access to those. So they would need to, have those developed and so on. So it's just integrating multimodal and safety and all. It is customary for MPOs to develop a toolkit, but not enforce in any way, just a planning level of toolkit type of thing. So does that answer your question?
I think it kind of does, but it just feels like it maybe is more of a duplication of what the engineering firms are already doing. I mean, we have Transist and we have Garver, we have MKC, we have a whole list of engineering firms that do this kind of work all the time. So I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around how this is going to be useful when that's what the engineering firms do. We don't have, we have a city engineer, but there's no way in the world she's designing the streets because she didn't have time for that. We have to hire that out.
Sense, Mayor, makes sense. We were just following our, our Federal Highway Administration encouragement, how staff would dedicate their time. If it is useful, we'll continue. If you believe it is not worth our time, we would happy to focus our attention somewhere else. It's you would guide us. You're in charge. So.
Any other questions for Dor?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have commuter flow reports.
Good afternoon again. Just wanted to keep you apprised. We updated our commuter flows report with the 2021 data from the LHD, or the longitudinal employment household data. I'm getting that right. The source we typically use for this is the Census Bureau's On the Map tool that helps you locate and calculate all this information about cities. But in general, we developed this commuter flows report, covers all 22 cities within the WAMPO region. Information about each city includes inflow and outflow, total counts, and historical trends chart, percent of the population in the labor force, mean travel time to work, and then a workplace and residence heat map kind of shows you where people are live and where they work by municipality. The information in the report, it's our 2024 report, but it's 2021 data. So what are commuter flows? We have information about where a worker lives, and we know where they work. The source of this data is from W2. The Census Department actually adds a little bit of noise to the information, so it's never revealing of anybody's private residence or anything of that nature. And I'll just give you kind of these report snapshots. So looking at Wichita in 2021, they had an inflow of about 80,500 people or so that travel from outside of Wichita city boundaries into the city. And they had an internal people who both live and work in Wichita, about 115,000, slightly down from last year. And then there's about 50,000, almost 51,000 people that live in Wichita that go outside the city to commute. Good thing to note about Wichita in these reports, it is the only city in the region that has the most internal flow. Every other city has more inflow or more outflow going in and out of them. So if you're looking for like a regional hub or you need to designate a city, this is always a good metric to look at if you're looking at a metropolitan area. And so that's the snapshot of Wichita there. You can kind of see these Wichita, the inflow and outflow trends kind of go from year to year. They do remain like roughly about the same. And quite surprisingly, you don't see any huge shocks in 2020 or 2021, which was interesting to see. Going through here, you can see Derby. And then again, you can see a lot of inflow and outflow of all of the suburbs with a smaller internal flow. And you can see over about 16,000 total commuter trips there. Again, this is all in the report that we have in our data report section. You can see the trends over the years with a slight dip in 2019 and the people employed in Derby but living outside. So a little bit of less inflow in 2020, but that recovered by 2021, or mostly recovered there. And then Hayesville, and these are the same ones we looked at a year ago, I think at this same TPP meeting last February, might have been January. You can see here for Hayesville, inflow just shy of 2,000, internal just under 400 or just above 400, outflow about 4,500. And you can see all the different metrics and information there. This is all again contained in the commuter flows report. I think this is our 4th year that we've done this. Again, you can see the trends there. Pretty steady for each year. Living in Hayesville but employed outside had a slight drop in 2021. But yes, this is online for anybody who'd like to use it. We have a pretty standard format for updating these now. Go to our website and go to what we do, data and reports, and you'll see commuter flows there. Yes, so any question on commuter flows?
Peter, is that the same website where you can hover over a city and it shows you an arrow towards another city as far as inflow and outflow?
It has something very similar to that. I think we're probably thinking of the same thing. But yes, if you do the inflow outflow report, you'll see that same set of arrows that describes how much people going in and out. For the future, we hope to update the format a bit. We were able through their data service to get all of the raw census data. So hopefully we can get something a bit more granular in the future. I'm hoping we have, instead of just city by city, where people are going and working in that city specifically, I think would be a benefit, or I would find that, I think a lot of our jurisdictions and stakeholders would find that more useful.
All right, any questions for Peter? All right, thank you. All right, next we have committee and partnership updates. Executive committee. So you heard from the previous chair as far as what we discussed at our executive committee, which it's a lot dealt with you know, the raise for Chad, and also we talked about finances, and we're sitting very well with finances with WAMPO. So did I miss anything? Is that good? Yes, the next meeting, like May 8th.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Just want to express our staff is very thankful to Chair, because so much motivation our Madam Chair has provided, and the staff is just appreciates all the. And also I want to express how your quorum matters and how your leadership, how we are thankful, because you have seen how Nick presented incrementally over many years, today getting to that MTP approval. There's so many small parts and pieces that come, and then your leadership and your quorum, we had been like, there was no meeting, always met the quorum, and we're very thankful to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have item B, the Kansas Department of Transportation. KDOT.
I don't have any updates today. I'm sorry.
You have anything?
Yes, on January 29th at the intersection of 29th Street and Hydraulic Avenue was closed, as well as the 29th Street on-ramp to southbound I-135. This is both part of the North Junction Gold Project. We are going to have some winter weather that's going to be occurring tonight. It's not going to be as intense as what happened earlier this January, but we do have 22 trucks that we're anticipating on having out on the roads, and we'll be working out there in shifts until that's taken care of.
All right, thank you. Also have the Wichita Metro Division, KDOT, or is that it? Okay, great. Federal Highway Administration.
Good afternoon. This is Will Sharp. I have no updates at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Will. All right, next we have other business. Do we have any other business? All right, I just want to, thank everybody for attending in person. Just like Chad said, it's very important we have a quorum. So, on the TAC and the TPB. So it's hard to run a meeting, without a quorum. So it's very appreciative that you are here in person and online. So appreciate everybody getting online. They could not be here in person. Also very appreciative of WAMPO staff for all the hard work that they've done. And like Chad said, there's a lot of stuff happening in the background and all these, a lot of little stuff that makes, big things happen. So appreciate it. And thanks again to Becky. So I keep thinking of, she would say WAMPO Tuesday, and I can just picture her running around in Wichita City Hall, just WAMPO Tuesday. So,
And I still will.
Yeah.
Because it will still be WAMPO Tuesday.
so thanks again. And would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
So moved.
All right. All in favor, say aye. All right. See you next month.